Hello and welcome back to Studio Session. I'm Katherine and thank you so much for tuning in to our 10th episode. We have finally hit the double digits. Okay, let's jump right into today's report. For reading, unfortunately, I have started to reread my notes in preparation for midterms. I have a lot of classes this year that are really note heavy, like psych, so unfortunately I have been having to go back and reread those. For eating, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to say something that I've not been eating, and that is blueberries, because every time I've tried to eat blueberries, they have been sour and gross. It is definitely not blueberry season, so do not buy blueberries this time of year. For playing, I've been loving Billie Eilish's album, Happier Than Ever. I don't know, I like every single song on here, and I found myself listening to it a lot. For obsessing, I have been obsessed with older style books and the collector's covers of books. I think that they make great decor, they look so pretty on my bookshelf, and I just think they're really, really cool and unique. For recommending, I recommend that you clean up your room. I think that a clean space equals a clean mind, and especially with kind of the stressfulness of midterms coming up, it's just good to have a nice space to study in. And finally, for treating, I've just been making sure to go to bed early. I naturally go to bed really early, but I don't know, maybe it's just because I've been tired lately, but I've been going to bed really early, and it's made me feel pretty good. So yeah, that's it for today's report, and let's jump right into our main segment. I am joined with Lucas for our main segment, and today's album review is The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill, and this was released in 1998, so definitely kind of on the cusp of almost the 2000s, but it's still the 1900s, so we'll count it as a throwback. Okay, my favorite song on the album was X Factor. This is such a good song. Amazing vocals, there's kind of a smooth beat, and this song just really blew me away. I like the part where it's like, care for me. I don't know how to word it, but it's just so good. This was an amazing song. Nothing bad to say about it.
My favorite on this album, there was a lot of great songs, especially in the start, including X Factor. I thought about it, but I'm going to go with Doo Wop, That Thing. And I just love this song. I love the vocals. It's been sampled by some people I know. And additionally, kind of more why I chose to pick this one as my favorite, I sampled it myself in music production. So shout out Lauryn Hill, Doo Wop, That Thing is my favorite on this album.
Okay, I definitely agree with what Lucas said about having some of the strongest songs in the album at the beginning, because my second favorite on the album is actually also right towards the beginning. I promise that I listened to the whole album. My favorites just happen to be really early on, and that is the song Lost Ones. I thought this was just an amazing start to the album. There is a little intro. This is the first actual full song besides the intro. It's just so catchy. It put me in a good mood. Just so good. An absolute bop. I really liked Lost Ones.
I also really like Lost Ones. I like the way Lauren enunciates her words at the start, but even though we have sort of a little bit of a Mount Rushmore at the start with Lost Ones, X Factor, 2 Zion, and Doo Wop, That Thing, I'm going to the end because I've definitely listened to this album before. Funny story, I was on vacation once, and I listened to this album before boarding my flight, and then I'm not sure if this is still around, but there was this game called Hurdle, and it was Wordle with music, and it was a Lauryn Hill song, and I didn't get it after listening to the album. Anyway, it was not this song. I'm going with my second favorite, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. This isn't up there with the greats, but I think it deserves its due because of the incredible organ in the back of this song. And Lauryn does her thing on this track as well. Kind of a hidden gem of this project, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, so for my least favorite song on this album, I'm choosing not to include the intro just because I feel like it's so short, not super it's barely a song. So if I'm not including the intro to the album, Superstar fell last in my rankings. I just noted that it wasn't really memorable. It kind of blended in with some of the other ones in my mind. Again, not a song I disliked, just not one of my favorites. So I gave Superstar my lowest ranking.
I am going to give my lowest rating to Nothing Even Matters. I don't even really think this is that bad a song. This is kind of just like Thriller. If everyone listened to the last episode, we had a little bit of a disconnect because Katherine said that Baby Be Mine is the best song on the album. And I don't know how you say that when Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature, The Girl Is Mine, Wanna Be Starting Something are all on the album. That's what I feel like with this song. This album, excuse me. There's a lot of good songs on this album, so I listened to it. I don't know. I also discounted the intro. I didn't count that. That would obviously be number one. If I'm not going with that, I would say Every Ghetto, Every City. I wasn't a big fan of that one as well. But Nothing Even Matters is my least favorite on this album.
Okay, and the final category is our underrated pick of the album. I gave this one to I Used to Love Him featuring Mary J. Blige. I just thought that the voices sounded really great together. I liked the lyrics a lot. There was a catchy tune, and there was some like repetition in the lyrics of like the I used to love him part, hence the title. But I think it was done well. Like I didn't find it like boring or too repetitive. I thought it still kind of was like fun and catchy. So I Used to Love Him is my underrated pick, but I was also going to give a shout out to Nothing Even Matters. This is also a collab featuring D'Angelo, I think is the artist's name. But I just really liked his part. It kind of had a calm beat, so those two I think are my most underrated picks.
For my most underrated, I am going with a song that is next to I Used to Love Him, and I'm picking Forgive Them, Father. I really like this song, and this song, similar to The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, has just some great production, some great background stuff going on, which I always appreciate. And some of these songs, Lauryn just sets herself apart. And it's a shame we didn't get more work with her, but man, what she gave us on this album was well worth it.
Definitely agreed. For my overall album ranking, I gave this album an 8 out of 10. I was really pleasantly surprised by this album. This kind of like more hip hop genre isn't one I usually gravitate towards. I didn't think it was like my music style, but I thoroughly enjoyed this album. There were so many songs that I immediately added to my playlist after listening because I just really, really liked them. So I'm glad that this podcast is letting me listen to so many different albums because I really love this album.
Shout out to my mother for not only giving birth to me, but also putting me on this incredible album. I'm going to say 8.5 out of 10 on this one. I think it's better than an 8, but worse than a 9. Just because of the middle is a little lackluster in some regards. But definitely, I would listen to this album again, and it's just so many good playlist-worthy songs. They come on, you're like, oh, okay, I like this song. Especially that really powerful start, and kind of a little bit of a powerful end, not as big as the start, but, Can't Take My Eyes Off You, Everything Is Everything. Couple great songs, so 8.5 out of 10 for Lauryn Hill, well worth a listen.
An amazing album for our 10th episode, and let's jump into our next segment. All right, for our next segment today, we are back with a playlist essentials, and today's topic is songs to get you through midterms because, like I keep mentioning, they are coming up fast, they're fresh in my mind. So these are just some songs that I'm curious to see our approach on this one because, it can either be a motivational song, a good song to study to, songs that will just get you through this stressful time. Okay, so for my number 3 pick, I have Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. This is just kind of like a fast-paced song. I think maybe if you listen to it, it'll like help you study faster. I don't know. It's just like a good, powerful, motivational song. Nothing can stop you from getting those good grades. So Don't Stop Me Now by Queen is my number 3 pick.
So yeah, like Katherine said, with the interpretation in this, it can be all over the place. I chose to do songs that, to get me through, I'm interpreting that as I'm down bad for these midterms. I need to get a come up. I need to be on my get back. So I'm just gonna go right into it. Number 3, I said Just a Cloud Away by Pharrell Williams. Any Minions enjoyer would know this song. Love Pharrell. Obviously, Happy is the big hit from his Minions era, but I think this is actually the best one that he made. Just a Cloud Away, Pharrell Williams, getting me through midterms.
Okay, so for my number 2 pick, I did kind of take a different approach, and I said The Lakes by Taylor Swift. This is on her album Folklore, and I personally think that Folklore is it's not only one of my favorite albums of all time, but I think it's one of the best study albums just because kind of the whole vibe of it. I don't know, I enjoy studying to Folklore. So I noted that this was a good song to study to, but also because this song mentions like poets and uses like intellectual words, I thought maybe listening to it would kind of put you in a good, smart headspace. So The Lakes by Taylor Swift is my second pick.
If anyone needs good straight studying music, you already know what I'm about to say. Andre 3000 Flute album. must listen. 2, I stuck with the same theme, and I picked Less by Childish Gambino. Just like an adventurous song is how I would describe it personally. Talking about a lover and not quite sure what it is. And this goes hand in hand with the story inside the album Camp, which ties into the Because the Internet story. I wrote about it last year. Highly recommend you do your research on that album. But on Camp, there is this song. Great song. The chorus is good, the repetition is good, and I like the way it ends. Yeah, I'm going Less for my second favorite.
Okay, and for my top choice for songs to get you through midterms, I have I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. I mean, honestly, midterms are tough, and I think sometimes we just need a reminder that we will get through it, we will survive. This is just a iconic, powerful ballad, and yeah, you will survive. I think this is a great motivator and one I'll definitely be listening to when I get really stressed out.
I have to say, in this podcast, I have a stern policy, and that is I will never use the same playlist essentials twice. We all know that number 1 would have been I'm Still Standing by Johnny the Gorilla. But
I was also really considering including this.
shout out to my dad. He didn't go to prison. I'm going with Adele, Rolling in the Deep, for my number 1 song to get me through midterms. I recently added this to my playlist, and I have no regrets. Shout out to my buddy Caden, big Adele fan. This is just such a good song. I can't even explain it. It just gets me moving, gets me grooving every time it comes on. So shout out Adele, making the good music. Rolling in the Deep is my number 1 song to get me through midterms.
All right, that was it for our playlist essentials, songs to get you through midterms, and let's head to our final segment of the day. All right, so for what to expect next, our next album that we are going to be reviewing is The Stranger by Billy Joel, and you will hear this on Wednesday. Unfortunately, next week we are only going to be bringing one podcast, as the Thursday that we would usually record our second episode of the week on is unfortunately a midterms day, and we have a half day, so we do not have time to record that podcast, but we still wanted to bring you one, and yeah, super excited to do this album. And now Lucas is going to kind of talk about the new album releases to expect this Friday and this weekend.
Yeah, definitely excited for The Stranger. We might be on dime time again because I think this album might just be a 10 out of 10. But we have a couple releases to get through this weekend. Kali Uchis is dropping. I will be listening to that. I liked her last album. Kid Cudi is also dropping. I will definitely not be listening to his album. No disrespect. And rumors that Mr. Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign are also dropping. I feel like we hear this every week. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I will be asleep by midnight. So I won't be listening to them at midnight like I usually do. Thank you guys for listening today, and I am excited to catch you guys after midterms and our Wednesday episode.
Just one quick thing. I also completely forgot. I'm pretty sure Ariana Grande is releasing an album tomorrow, and I don't know how it slipped my mind, but I'm pretty positive she is releasing something. I don't know. I feel like she hasn't released a solid album in a long time, so excited for that. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.